Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-012. There's a content warning here for self-harm and copious amounts of blood. If that doesn't deter you, then let's begin. Item number, SCP-012. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-012 is to be kept in a darkened room at all times. If the object is exposed to light or seen by personnel using a light frequency other than infrared, remove personnel for mental health screening and immediate physical. Object is to be encased in an iron-shielded box, suspended from the ceiling with a minimum clearance of 2.5 meters or 8 feet from the floor, walls, and any openings. Description: SCP-012 was retrieved by archaeologist K.M. Sandoval during the excavation of a northern Italian tomb destroyed in a recent storm. The object, a piece of handwritten musical score entitled On Mount Golgotha, part of a larger set of sheet music, appears to be incomplete. The red-black ink, first thought to be some form of berry or natural dye ink, was later found to be human blood from multiple subjects. The first personnel to locate the sheet, Site-19 Special Salvage, had 2 members descend into insanity, attempting to use their own blood to finish the composition, ultimately resulting in massive blood loss and internal trauma. Following initial investigations, multiple test subjects were allowed access to the score. In every case, the subjects mutilated themselves in order to use their own blood to finish the piece, resulting in subsequent symptoms of psychosis and massive trauma. Those subjects who managed to finish a section of the piece immediately committed suicide, declaring the piece to be, quote, impossible to complete, end quote. Attempts to perform the music have resulted in a disagreeable cacophony, with each instrumental part having no correlation or harmony with the other instruments. And that brings an end to today's briefing. For your homework this week, I want you to listen to a recording of On Mount Golgotha from the SCP archives, following which I'd like you to comment a musical genre or a song that sounds similar to what you heard. To me, it sounds like a recently spacebound pop star, or maybe a presidential daughter-in-law. But I'm interested in your opinion. I'll be checking the comments at 1700 hours. Class dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-043. There isn't any objectionable material in this document. Well, unless you're not a fan of the Beatles. Anyways, let's begin. Item number, SCP-043. Object Class, Safe. Pictured here, SCP-043 inside its sleeve. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-043 requires no special containment, although it is recommended that SCP-043 not be used for purposes other than testing. A turntable is to be maintained in the same room for testing. Description: SCP-043 appears to be a vinyl copy of The White Album by The Beatles. However, upon closer inspection, the record has no grooves. In spite of this, the record will play from start to finish regardless of the starting position of the needle. When the 29th track is reached, instead of playing Revolution 9, the disc stops spinning and faint breathing can be heard. Occasionally, the entity responsible for the breathing will speak in a male voice. The entity will respond to questions and shows a profound encyclopedic knowledge of the music industry, musical theory, and obscure trivia about many bands and artists. However, the entity refuses to answer questions regarding the Beatles or its own personal details. Inside the jacket, a small handwritten note was found, reading, Limited Edition, 1 of 1. Thanks, John. XXX. And that concludes today's briefing. You might not have noticed it, but this document contains one of my favorite idiosyncrasies of early SCP documentation. Notably, the irony of having the first sentence of the Special Containment Procedures be, SCP-043 requires no special containment. I mean, if that were true, it wouldn't be contained in a top-secret black site, would it? I happen to think that's special enough. Anyway, your homework for the week is to scour the additional documentation for SCP-043 on the database and come up with some hypotheses for who this mysterious voice may be. I'll be checking the comments section at 1700 hours. Class dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-044. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item number: SCP-044. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures: a constant stream of hydrogen ions, unbound oxygen atoms, and other trace-free radicals emanate from the muzzle of SCP-044 at all times. Because of this, the docking stations of SCP-044 are to be well ventilated to keep dangerous gases and moisture from accumulating. Muzzle coverings are to be fitted at all times to keep birds and small animals from investigating the large open barrel of SCP-044. Image capture of SCP-044 during an experiment titled Upshot Noddle Fort Grable. Addendum 2000. As SCP-044 has not been involved in any significant incidents in the years it has been held by the Foundation, SCP-044 has been reclassified as safe. Footnote: must I really define, quote, significant incidents, end quote. If containment procedures and standard safety protocols are followed, 44 appears to be no more dangerous than any other big gun. No, the bear incident does not count. Signed, 0512. Description: SCP-044 is a howitzer, secretly manufactured in the late stages of the Second World War by Krupp engineers, personally supervised by Albert Speer, German Minister of Armaments and War Production under Adolf Hitler. SCP-044 is unique not only because of its size, 251,000 kilograms or 251 metric tons, but also because it fires unconventional artillery using an atypical delivery method. Rather than having a breech for loading shells, the rear of the barrel is configured into a massive air compression chamber. Any object, or pile of objects that fits, may be loaded into SCP-044's muzzle to be used as ammunition. Because of its size, SCP-044 must remain rail-mounted and requires 2 freight locomotives to move. Researchers believe that SCP-044 weakens molecular and atomic bonds in any material loaded into its muzzle. However, the method by which SCP-044 affects molecular bonds is not known, due primarily to the numerous complex mechanisms that compose the housing and workings of SCP-044. In fact, some mechanisms appear useless and seem to do nothing other than spin or make noise, even when SCP-044 is not supplied with power. Both equipment and personnel have been lost while exploring the inside of SCP-044's barrel. When SCP-044 is fired, all matter within its barrel is ejected at a high rate of speed as a glowing red slug, proportional in size to the amount of mass loaded into the muzzle. Upon striking a solid object or the ground, the slug explodes with a yield proportional to the mass of the original ammunition, at no less than a 30% mass-to-energy conversion rate. The yield will also increase somewhat the longer the slug remains in the barrel. The greatest known yield was achieved when the administrator's 8,900 kilogram, or 19,500 pound, personal diesel pickup truck was loaded in its entirety into the muzzle of SCP-044 and fired in the pictured, quote, experiment. That brings an end to today's briefing. And as a message from me to you, class, in case you've ever worried that you don't measure up as a Foundation researcher, that things were so much better in the past, take note that everyone back then were idiots and fuck-ups too, and inane and juvenile pranks ruled the day as they do now. Your homework for today is to document a retelling of your favorite prank that you've pulled here at the Foundation. Bonus points if it includes an anomaly, and don't worry, this isn't going to get to disciplinary. I'll be checking the comments at 1700 hours. Class dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-388. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item number: SCP-388. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures: SCP-388 is to be kept in a locked safe in a room guarded by at least 2 armed guards instructed to refuse access to any unauthorized personnel. Use of lethal force is permitted to this end. Unless undergoing experimentation, SCP-388 is to remain outside the influence of any other SCPs demonstrating properties capable of modifying physical laws or drawing energy from unknown sources. Description: SCP-388 consists of a foldable nylon frisbee of the type commonly given away as promotional material, in this case bearing the logo of the Banana Boat Suntan Lotion Corporation. SCP-388 appears to be immune to damage. During testing, it has been able to withstand high-caliber rifle shots, immersion in high-acidity baths, and sustain temperatures of 3,500 degrees Celsius. In all cases, it would spring back unharmed to its original shape. X-ray crystallography reveals the molecular structure of SCP-388 to be completely normal nylon, supported by a ring of metal appearing to be aluminum. SCP-388 was discovered after witnesses in a local news report in the town of claimed a power line was down by a UFO. Agents embedded with maintenance crews investigated, and found the concrete pole was sliced cleanly with no tool marks, prompting full investigation status. Aerial records obtained from NORAD and the revealed no abnormalities such as data expunged, typically associated with data expunged. The investigation was nearly terminated until agents posing as reporters interviewed the family, originally questioned in the news report, and their child mentioned the entire incident as being caused by a frisbee. Initially skeptical, efforts were nonetheless taken to verify this claim, with initial confirmation made on a full week of helicopter searches of the neighboring city of and numerous retrievals of unremarkable frisbees from rooftops eventually yielded results. Unfortunately, Agent was fatally dismembered by SCP-388 when Agent threw the object down from the roof. Under the guise of replacing a septic tank, SCP-388 was dug up from its resting place 5.5 meters below the yard, and carefully brought in for containment. SCP-388, when thrown by a human, appears to travel as a normal frisbee for a distance of approximately 3 meters. After this distance, SCP-388 immediately begins glowing bright white, and accelerates until its velocity reaches approximately meters per second. SCP-388 will proceed to cleanly slice through all intervening matter, regardless of consistency, until eventually coming to rest. Current theory holds that it loses speed due to friction between its top and bottom surfaces and the weight of material pressing down on it as it passes through objects. SCP-388 does not differentiate between matter and test subjects assigned to catch it. Addendum. Inquiries into the potential use of SCP-388 as a weapon have been declined in light of the obvious difficulty of retrieving it after its first throw. That brings an end to our briefing, and before I continue, if I hear a single one of you dirty otaku quote that incessant Destructo Disc! I hope you know you're cleaning the motor pool with your toothbrush tonight. Moving on. I want you all to note a couple of problems in this early SCP document that we at the Foundation have fixed over our time as an organization. First of all, this is a frisbee. It's not going to escape unless someone throws it, so this is object class safe, not Euclid. Second, note the ridiculously overbearing containment procedures. Why a locked safe? Why 2 armed guards? Why is lethal force permitted? The only reason for that would be if the Foundation staff of the past were incredibly stupid and constantly stealing this to do pranks, which, 5320, I hope not. Third and finally, we lost an agent, KIA, because this idiot decided to throw the frisbee at him despite knowing it cut through a concrete power pole. Your homework for today is to find another SCP from the early years with similar issues and describe what you would do differently. I'll be checking the comments at 1700 hours for your work. Class dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-4103. There isn't any objectionable material in this document. Well, unless you're offended by them playing Christmas music in the stores in October. So let's begin. Item number, SCP-4103. Object Class, Keter. Special Containment Procedures. All radio or television stations playing Christmas music during SCP-4103's active period are to be checked for instances of SCP-4103 by automated memetic detectors. All infected audio is to be seized and contained in storage locker number 24 in Site-03. Particularly attentive surveillance is to be made for radio broadcasts from Christian religious institutions. Due to the widespread effect and indistinct symptoms of SCP-4103 in popular culture, all complaints are to be deflected by spreading the suggestion that SCP-4103 only exists due to the social and psychological aspects of the holiday. Footnote: complaints such as the early celebration of Christmas. Aberrant versions of Christmas are to be covertly discouraged, and harmful celebrators are to be amnesticized. Description: SCP-4103 is a parasitic cultural meme that is transmitted acoustically through the vector of Christmas music. The main effect of SCP-4103 is the unconscious aggregation of other holidays, festivities, and rituals into Christmas. The practices of celebrations that are observed by an individual infected with SCP-4103 will be merged into that of Christmas, nullifying the practice in the original holiday to an infected individual's perception. The time frame of SCP-4103 activity increases with the number of holidays affected. The main symptom for the meme is within the subtle, unintrusive behavioral changes that are associated with the, quote, holiday season. The abstract notion of a Christmas spirit or holiday feelings that is perceived when listening to SCP-4103 infected music is one major identifier for the transfer of the meme. Rituals and holidays that do not culturally align with existing festival doctrine are not incorporated. However, as the number of distinct traditions subsumed by SCP-4103 increases, the amount of cultural overlap also increases, allowing for an increased number of holidays to be integrated. The gradual consequence of SCP-4103 over time leads to Christmas being naturally preferred over affected holidays. This also leads to different interpretations of the celebration throughout the world as a result of the conglomeration of different holidays in a particular region. While still under debate, some memetic scholars posit a correlation between the consuming nature of SCP-4103 and the consumer culture of modern Christmas. However, a large body of evidence indicates that the consuming motif may merely be a trait that has been integrated into the holiday by absorption rather than an innate characteristic of the meme. The following are the specific mechanisms in which SCP-4103 operates. 1. SCP-4103 can only be transported through music containing the theme of the, quote, holidays. This includes even the passing mention of the holiday in a song or chant. 2. When the time frame for SCP-4103 activity ends, individuals who were infected with SCP-4103 will no longer contain SCP-4103, but will still believe in the transference of tradition that occurred during the infected period. 3. SCP-4103 begins its active period around 2 months before and after the regional Christmas celebration starts. For locations not on Earth, SCP-4103 activates in conjunction with the SCP-4103 instances located in Vatican City. Footnote: not on Earth or any such location not in this designated dimension and universe. When SCP-4103 operating period begins, random instances will spontaneously generate around places of worship. SCP-4103 is theorized to have been created on commission by Roman Emperor Valentinian I along with his other anomalous attempts to reunify the Roman Empire after its cleavage in 285 CE. The hypothesized intended purpose was to unite the empire under one ideal. Archbishop Crescentius of Jizai later co-opted the meme for religious purposes in 1278 CE under the direction of the Papal State. Historically, SCP-4103 has been weaponized by various Christian groups to increase the rate of religious conversion. The consumption and subsequent memetic adoption of local tradition ease the adoption of foreign, usually Christian, practices. Evidence suggests that multiple cultures have experienced widespread religious shifts due to the effects of SCP-4103, including those of the Holstic Celts, indigenous Native Americans, Indo-European Balts, and Melanesians. A reversal of this cultural destruction is currently ongoing. For more information on negating SCP-4103's historical precedents, please refer to Project Ganymede. Listed below is an example of the effects of SCP-4103 and its accumulation of holiday traditions. This table is labeled Holiday Affected by SCP-4103 and Motif Assimilated into Christmas. From the holiday of Yule, Christmas assimilated 12 days of. From the holiday of Epiphany, Christmas assimilated the motif of the household tree. From the holiday of Adonau-Kigatingen, Christmas assimilated the motif of candle lighting. From the Wuwakim ceremony, Christmas assimilated the motif of caroling. From Krasnaya Gorka, Christmas assimilated the motifs of wreaths and mistletoe. From Imbolc and Samhain, Christmas assimilated the motif of St. Nicholas. This holiday's name has been redacted because it contains a cognitohazardous effect. But from redacted, Christmas assimilated the motif of remembrance of a holy figure's birth. What is this, wingdings? I don't know what's going on here, but the footnote says that it's a holiday celebrated by the Serpent's Hand, an annual celebration held in the Nexus. And from it, Christmas assimilated the motif of contagious insanity. Oh, footnote, this symptom is able to spread to individuals not affected by SCP-4103. And finally, at least for our briefing today, from the holiday Veniti Celebremus Infernum, Christmas assimilated the motif of mass death. For the full list of affected holidays, please contact Site 3. But for our class today, your assignment is to think over your unique holiday traditions and consider what they would be like if they were absorbed into the Christmas oeuvre. You know, like a menorah being done up with twinkling lights, or a Christmas goose being sacrificed on an altar of the damned, that sort of thing. Anyway, leave your stuff in the comments, I'll check it out at 1700 hours. Dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-4745. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item number, SCP-4745. Object Class, Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-4745 is contained in a standard storage locker in Site-73, with its top hat removed and contained separately. SCP-4745 is not to be placed in its active state unless during testing, and SCP-4745 may not enter its active state again until at least 4 days have passed since its last use. Description: SCP-4745 is a 1-meter-tall plastic snowman figurine with a top hat. The words "Christmas Carol" by Dr. Wondertainment are written on its base. Whenever the top hat is placed on the figurine, SCP-4745 enters its active phase. While it is in its active phase and placed within a human dwelling, SCP-4745 will alter the abode to make it Halloween-themed, either by generating Halloween-style objects and items, or by altering existing decor to fit a Halloween motif. Footnote: SCP-4745 itself is immune to its own effect. After approximately 7 days, SCP-4745's alterations will begin to transition from child-friendly horror elements, as is typical for most Halloween themes, to a more disturbing motif. Examples of alterations during this time have included the replacement of edible liquids with human blood, the generation of human corpses and body parts, and reports of frightening sounds and noises. Footnote: such as screams, moaning, and according to one report, booing. After 13 days in its active state, SCP-4745 will change the theme of its alterations to outright horror, generating malevolent entities and becoming a threat to any humans in the altered dwelling. Testing has revealed the generation of booby traps, animated corpses, various entities from horror media, and duplications of hostile SCP objects. Some notable SCP-4745 alterations include animation of statues and figures into hostile entities, transformation of a room into a copy of SCP-002, rerouting of doorways into pocket dimensions resembling large graveyards or forests, generation of entities similar to SCP-083-D, manifestation of an entity resembling Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th film franchise. When the top hat is removed or SCP-4745 is removed from the dwelling, its alterations begin to revert at approximately twice the rate at which they initially appeared. Addendum 4745-1 Discovery: SCP-4745 was found in the home of Angela Jupati with document 4745-A, who had contacted local police regarding SCP-4745's anomalous properties. Mobile Task Force Phi-13, codename Spooky Scary Skeletons, footnote: Mobile Task Force dedicated to containing anomalies specifically designed to cause fear or terror, was deployed, and were able to successfully amnesticize Ms. Jupati and retrieve SCP-4745. Transcript of document 4745-A. Thank you for letting Christmas Carl stay with you this holiday season. Just hand him his hat, and he'll turn your humble home into a winter wonderland. Find all the other members of this limited series and become the holiday hero. Valentine Vance, Easter Evelyn, Independence Isaac, Halloween Hannah, Thanksgiving Theodore, Christmas Carl. Note that there's a check mark next to Christmas Carl. Addendum 4745-2. Approximately 2 months after SCP-4745 was initially contained, document 4745-B spontaneously manifested in its containment cell. Transcript of document 4745-B. To the recipient of our Holiday Hero Collectible. I am so sorry to tell you that your Christmas Carl may have a few problems. I am very proud of not only our company's attention to detail, but also our commitment to making kid-friendly toys and putting a smile on everyone's face. Unfortunately, this means that we will be discontinuing our Holiday Hero series, possibly indefinitely. I don't want anyone to think that we'd ever let this happen again. You have no need to worry about anything. Simply return Carl to our headquarters at 77 Wondertainment Lane, and we will completely reimburse you, as well as pay for any damages our product may have caused. Again, I am incredibly sorry for the egregious oversight of both myself and my company, and I hope I can earn back your trust. Best regards, Dr. Wondertainment. Footnote: no such address as 77 Wondertainment Lane exists. Well, never have I ever been so glad for a product recall. Your assignment for the day is to brainstorm alternative holiday heroes figures that Wondertainment might create further down the line. In case he decides on a relaunch, we want to be ready for anything. I'll be checking your work in the comments at 1700 hours. Dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Sherman, and today we will be discussing SCP-6564. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item number: SCP-6564. Classification Level 3, Confidential. Containment Class Euclid, Disruption Class Vlam, Risk Class Notice. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-6564 is to be contained within a standard humanoid containment chamber at Site-228's Humanoid Containment Wing. The chamber is to be furnished with age-appropriate toys, books, and recreational materials to facilitate interaction with SCP-6564. D-Class personnel assigned for play sessions must undergo a psychological evaluation to ensure their suitability for engagement with SCP-6564. Personnel are strictly prohibited from using any form of violence or attempting to harm SCP-6564 during play sessions. Description: SCP-6564 is the animate skeleton of a currently unidentified female infant, approximately 60 centimeters in height, with the cause of death being unknown. The entity carries a small wooden sword and a wooden shield. SCP-6564 exhibits a friendly and playful disposition, particularly enjoying interactive activities with D-Class personnel assigned for play sessions. These sessions are considered a vital component of SCP-6564's containment and emotional well-being. During play sessions, SCP-6564 engages in pretend combat with D-Class personnel, utilizing its wooden sword and shield. It displays an understanding of basic swordplay techniques and engages in playful battles without causing any harm. SCP-6564 appears to derive enjoyment from these interactions, and often giggles during play. Incident Log. On March 1, 2021, during a routine play session, D-9554 accidentally disarmed SCP-6564, resulting in the transformation of SCP-6564 into a larger skeletal form, approximately 2.5 meters in height. SCP-6564's wooden equipment also transformed into a metal sword and shield. At the same time, a group of small animate skeletons manifested in the containment chamber, forming a circle around SCP-6564 and D-9554, singing in Latin. SCP-6564 engaged in combat with D-9554, demonstrating increased aggression and utilizing its new weapons. D-9554 was incapacitated before the security guards were able to intervene. Upon the defeat of D-9554, SCP-6564 reverted back to its original form, and the other skeletons demanifested. D-9554 was severely injured but survived the incident. Following the incident, a small piece of paper was found on the table beside D-9554's hospital bed, with the following message written on it in crude handwriting. "Congratulations on besting me, even though it was just in the first round. I hope you will come back for a second round. If you thought my second form was hard, then you should see my third form. You will soil that orange onesie of yours. Get well soon, Orange Knight the 9554th. And that brings our briefing to a close. Your homework assignment this week is to devise practical offensive and defensive uses for this entity. Could we airdrop it on an enemy facility? Could we use it to defend one of our sites? Do we think that it's immortal, or do we think that it would actually be terminated if it fell in combat rather than being disarmed? I'll expect your results in the comments. Class dismissed. Whew, really pulling this out of the dusty old archives. Ah, yes. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Sherman, and today we'll be going over SCP-6578. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item number: SCP-6578. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. As removing SCP-6578 from its original site is currently unfeasible, the area surrounding Snyder's Ranch has been cordoned off with a perimeter fence. See in the article's photo, Snyder's Ranch as photographed in 1939. Usage of SCP-6578 for testing purposes requires prior approval from Project Director Haddix, and all instances of SCP-6578-1 are to be transported to Site-44 for further study. Description: SCP-6578 is a bur oak tree, genus Quercus macrocarpa, located on the site of a former ranch in Ellsworth, Kansas. A rudimentary children's tire swing has been fastened to the outermost branch, and the initials JS are crudely engraved into the trunk. SCP-6578's anomalous properties will activate once the intact remains of a recently deceased human are buried within 15 meters of the base. Footnote: here recently deceased means less than 24 hours after expiration. The following day at exactly 0000 hours 1 minute Mountain Standard Time, a naked living replica of the deceased, designated SCP-6578-1, as they appeared at their time of death, will manifest directly above the burial site. Instances of SCP-6578-1 will initially show signs of lethargy and disorientation, and rarely possess memories of events less than 1 month prior to the original's demise. SCP-6578 came to Foundation attention in October 1938, following the discovery of human remains outside a small ranch in the name of 65-year-old widower Hobart Snyder. Further investigation revealed the presence of some 47 genetically identical corpses in varying stages of decomposition, all dating to a 16-year period between 1922 and 1938. These remains were universally found to correspond to the owner's then-living son, 11-year-old Joshua Snyder, who was reported dead on February 2, 1922. In all 47 cases, the cause of death was determined to be acute leukemia. Alright class, that ends today's briefing. Your homework assignment is to brainstorm ways that we could utilize this anomaly for the benefit of the Foundation. The obvious idea is to resurrect fallen Foundation staff, but that whole memory issue makes things a bit iffy. I'll be expecting your results in the comments below. Class dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-6679. This article comes with a content warning. This article contains themes of misogyny and deals with just girly things. Reader discretion is advised. This work depicts a man behaving negatively. For examples of positive male representation, refer to other works on the SCP Wiki. Does anyone in the class have any problems moving forward? No? Then let's begin.
Excerpt from the letter of Senior Researcher Dr. Paul McKinnon, addressed to the Site-219 Containment Supervisors.
Our site has no experience with Group of Interest 4319, otherwise known as Just Girly Things. As such, I would like to recommend my co-worker, Dr. Alexandra Stewart, for the role of lead researcher of SCP-6679, due to her excellent track record with memetic anomalies and her high cognitive resistance value. Item number: SCP-6679. Object Class: Keter. Special Containment Procedures. As SCP-6679 is uploaded to 3 random streaming platforms at midnight GMT-5 on a daily basis, Foundation web crawler I.O. The True Meaning has been assigned to remove these listings as soon as they appear. I.O. The True Meaning has also been tasked with locating mentions of SCP-6679 on social media or movie forums and deploying an amnestic visual agent to the affected pages. The page is then to be deleted or locked depending on the medium. A copy of SCP-6679 is to be stored on a Foundation computer in Site-219 for testing purposes. Every testing request must be submitted to lead researcher, pending reassignment, for approval. Personnel assigned to SCP-6679 must have a cognitive resistance value no lower than 6. Description: SCP-6679 refers to A Very Girly Holiday Movie, a film released by Sparkly Pink Productions. The story opens with a wealthy and influential businesswoman ending up stranded in a village for a month due to unspecified reasons. The lumberjack of the village offers her to stay at his home. Throughout the movie, he introduces her to, quote, the true meaning of Christmas, end quote, which leads to the resignation of the businesswoman from her job on Christmas Eve. The film ends with her choosing to spend the rest of her life in the village, claiming that the purpose of life lies not in wealth and success, but in love and family. SCP-6679 is affiliated with Group of Interest 4319, otherwise known as Just Girly Things. After watching the movie, women and persons assigned female at birth become convinced that their current job and career does not bring them happiness if employed, or that attaining a job in the future will not bring them happiness either if unemployed.
Footnote. Previously, based on Dr. McKinnon's hypothesis, it was believed that a sufficiently high cognitive resistance value would be able to mitigate this effect in affected persons. This hypothesis is presently under investigation.
Instead, they become convinced that leading a fulfilling life lies in retiring to a rural cottage with their romantic partner. If the affected individual does not currently possess a partner, the anomalous effect of SCP-6679 will compel them to find one. The anomaly was discovered following a routine weekly sweep of online spaces for memetic and cognitohazardous materials on July 8, 2018. At the time of discovery, it was present on 12 different streaming platforms in total. Addendum 6679-1, Incident 6679-1, November 12, 2018. On the night of July 29, 2018, lead researcher Dr. Alexandra Stewart submitted a letter of resignation to the Site-219 HR department, citing that Foundation work means nothing to her anymore and that she now aspires to lead a simpler life with her romantic partner. Dr. Stewart disappeared the following morning, with site staff having no time to confront her or try to dissuade her. As Dr. Stewart reportedly enjoyed working at the Foundation, was on track to become the head of the site's memetic research division, and expressed no desire in finding a romantic partner prior to her disappearance, the resignation letter raised concerns among the majority of staff members at Site-219.
Commentary of senior researcher Dr. Paul McKinnon.
The resignation of Dr. Stewart was a shock to us all. We all know how she used to stay at her desk until late at night, or how she would spend hours upon hours in the site's library refreshing or expanding her vast knowledge of anomalies. And now, within a moment's notice, all gone. Blaming SCP-6679 for this would be the most straightforward option. It would, however, also be the most close-minded one. Women are not free of errors. It is possible that Stewart simply forgot to follow some vital steps of the Special Containment Procedures, and this carelessness costs her her career. As sad as it may be, that is the most likely explanation. Regardless, whatever would be the reason behind her resignation, whether it is human incompetence or simply the desire to find a family, a desire that drives every woman deep down, I wish Dr. Stewart good luck in her newfound life, and encourage other staff members at Site-219 to do the same. Following her disappearance, the position of the head of the Memetic Research Division of Site-219 has been given to Dr. Paul McKinnon, the second-in-priority candidate for the position. Attempts to locate Dr. Stewart are currently underway. Pardon my language, but he fucking did it, right? Are we all in agreement about that? I mean, it's pretty obvious, I think. Man, I've always hated that jerk-off. We met at a Site-42, Site-219 joint team-building exercise, and God, he was a prick. Okay, I'm gonna go report this to the Ethics Committee. You guys, assignment, I want you to write out what his punishment should be. I'll submit that to the Ethics Committee. I'll check in at 1900 hours. Dismissed. Ethics Committee's gonna have a field day with this one. Good afternoon, class. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and today we have the pleasure of studying a highly secret and exceptionally dangerous anomaly. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item number, SCP-6914. Classification Level 4, Secret. Containment Class, Radix. Disruption Class, Dark. Risk Class, Danger. You'll notice in the article's photograph both SCP-6914 and a common house cat, genus Felis catus, displaying its immunity to SCP-6914. Special Containment Procedures. All staff within Overwatch Command have been informed of SCP-6914's anomalous properties to ensure their compliance with its directive. Foundation landscapers employed for the structure are to only use lawn equipment which prevents them from touching the grass planted nearby. Description: SCP-6914 is a small sign reading, "Keep off grass." Upon a human individual within an 80-kilometer radius of SCP-6914 making physical contact with grass, a lightning bolt will spontaneously manifest from the sky and strike them where they are currently standing. The lightning will be specifically tailored to reach its intended target, capable of altering its intensity upon each manifestation to the required amount to break any possible barriers protecting the subject, including ones constructed of non-conductive material. Following the discovery of SCP-6914, unanimous approval of the Overseer Council led to it being installed outside of Overwatch Command Site 1. While Site 1 has yet to experience a security breach of a magnitude considered worthy of such a security increase, the importance of the facility and the personnel within was the primary contributing factor of the decision. Addendum 69141, Incident 6914 Alpha. On April 18, 2012, a lightning strike suddenly occurred within an unused room in Site 1's second sublevel. Mobilized members of Mobile Task Force Alpha 1, codename Red Right Hand, were quickly dispatched to the area for investigation. Upon reaching the room, they discovered the charred corpse of Agent William Peterson, who had been struck by the lightning. Review of security footage revealed that Agent Peterson had grabbed what was discovered to be a marijuana cigarette from his bag prior to the strike. The implications of this incident remain under review. And that concludes today's briefing. Your homework assignment is to devise novel ways to weaponize this anomaly against enemies of the Foundation. I'll be expecting your results in the comments below. Class dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-7165. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item Number SCP-7165. Classification Level 2, Restricted. Containment Class Keter, Secondary Class Nagi, Disruption Class Dark, Risk Class Notice. Pictured on your tablet is SCP-7165 iconography. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-7165 will be monitored for further romantic interference in the lives of SCP Foundation personnel by the Cliometria Artificial Intelligence Construct, and by Mobile Task Force Kappa-43, codename The Mediators. Footnote: Nagi-class anomalies have ceased to display anomalous properties, and will be monitored for reclassification should said properties remanifest. Attempts to deactivate the associated web domain are ongoing. Description: SCP-7165 is an online dating service entitled Tender Lovin' Karen, operated by Group of Interest 5889, otherwise known as Vikander Need Technical Media. Promotional text on the website offers the following overview. Are you looking for that special someone? Specifically, this special someone? Dr. Karen T. Elstrom, Chair of Administration and Oversight at SCP Foundation Lake Huron Research and Containment Site 43? Well, does Vikander Need TM have a treat in store for you? Just sign up to Tender Lovin' Karen, swipe left on the only other user you see, and hey presto! An instant romantic connection is formed with the star-crossed lover of our times, she of 0 successful dates in the past 20-odd years. Will you be the one to finally melt this Ice Queen's heart of gold? Not if you couldn't detect the mixed metaphor in the previous sentence. She's very picky. The mechanism by which SCP-7165 functions is unclear, but users indicating interest in Dr. Elstrom are insinuated seamlessly into her existing dating services as a potential match. Only one such match led to an in-person meeting, resulting in the anomaly's discovery. Addendum 7165-1, Phenomenological Overview. On the 21st of August, 2023, Dr. Elstrom arranged a date with a Tinder user she had successfully matched with after independently confirming the user's identity using Foundation resources as per protocol. A transcript of their outing at the Anafabulous Bistro in 3 Portlands is appended below.
Dr. Elstrom is waiting at her table. An entity resembling a moose with 3 television screens in place of its head approaches, trampling the chair opposite her and standing on the remains. Each screen displays an image of 12 red roses.
Hey there, beautiful.
I'm your date.
You're not Antonio Banderas.
And you're very perceptive.
You're the moose from Vikander Need.
Maybe a little, too perceptive.
I got 15 matches today. Were they all VKTM?
Let's focus on the here and now, girl. This is our night. Oh.
This is sexual harassment.
One of the screens changes to display VKTM representative Mari McPherson. She is wearing blue pajamas and a yellow sleep mask. The sleep mask is soaked through with blood.
I didn't think of that. Shit. Fuck. Dump it.
The entity demanifested, and all 15 matches disappeared from Dr. Elstrom's Tinder account. 11 yellow roses and an apology card addressed to Dr. Elstrom arrived at Site-43 the following day. Shortly after its discovery in correlation with SCP-7165, all content hosted on the Tender-Loving Karen domain was erased. Dr. Elstrom has terminated all of her personal dating service accounts. And that brings today's briefing to a close. Your assignment for this week is simple. How do we get Dr. Elstrom properly laid? I'm kidding. It was a joke. Don't land us another site-wide sexual harassment seminar. It was, in fact, a joke. Your actual assignment for this week is to write up some standard coupling procedures that might help us avoid these problems in the future. I'll be looking for your results in the comments. Class dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and today we'll be going over SCP-7254. The only thing close to objectionable material I could see in this article is some murder and some harm to children, which is a Tuesday here at the Foundation, so you've been warned. Let's get into it. Item number, SCP-7254. Object Class, Keter. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-7254 is contained in a standard humanoid cell located in Site-24's E-Wing. The subject remains in a subdued state, and is to be provided with 1 gallon of goat's blood by no less than 2 D-Class personnel on the first day of each month. Investigation into SCP-7254's origin remains ongoing. Description: SCP-7254 is a Tartarian entity of unclear classification, presently inhabiting the body of 8-year-old Abigail Burr. SCP-7254 exhibits most of the characteristics associated with possessive demons, namely unnatural strength, heightened resistance to injury, and insatiable appetite for human flesh. While capable of speech, SCP-7254's vocalizations are largely incoherent, though Foundation linguists have identified trace fragments of Sanskrit, Sumerian, and Old Davic. As determined through ectographic analysis, SCP-7254's natural form is that of a tall chimeric humanoid, reminiscent of Daemonium vulgaris, possessing porcine, corvine, and piscine attributes. Conventional methods of excising SCP-7254 from the host, including standardized exorcism procedures, have thus far been unsuccessful. The Department of Mythology and Folkloristics is consulting relevant historical sources for information regarding SCP-7254, under the presumption that uncovering its true name may grant the Foundation some degree of influence. SCP-7254 came to Foundation attention after killing 31 civilians at a compound belonging to a now defunct Christian sect known as the Fellowship of the True Faith, of which Burr's parents were recent initiates. Fellowship doctrine was noted for its unorthodox views on the nature of disease, believing all physical ailments to be caused by demonic possession. 3 weeks prior to SCP-7254's manifestation, Abigail Burr was subject to trepanation, a medical procedure whereby a small hole is drilled directly into the skull by Fellowship doctors, ostensibly in an effort to cure her epilepsy. There is no evidence to suggest that SCP-7254 was deliberately invoked. Foundation demonologists have hypothesized that the entity may have become stranded in the material universe at some point in the past, presumably the result of a failed summoning attempt. SCP-7254 likely gravitated towards Burr as her open skull cavity allowed ease of access to a living host. One of the surviving church members was Dr. Anthony Harrigan, whose wife and son were both killed in the attack. Dr. Harrigan, who was one of the physicians tasked with overseeing Burr's trepanation, later testified that prior to his collapse from blood loss, SCP-7254 thanked him. Alright, class,
Your assignment for this week is to write up a report on how the information contained in this article could be used for the benefit of the Foundation. My perspective idea is that we summon 5 to 10 demons, have them sign work contracts with the Foundation that legal assures us has no loopholes, lobotomize the same amount of mobile task force members, that way they have the muscle memory for their training intact, and we end up with a team of frickin' demons, able to rival even Samsara out in the field. Good luck topping that one, agents. I'll expect your proposals in the comments by 2100 hours. Dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Sherman, and in today's briefing, we will be discussing SCP-7271. There isn't any objectionable material in this document. Well, unless you're some sort of microbial oligarch. But anyways, let's get on with the briefing. Item number, SCP-7271. Classification Level 1, Unrestricted. Containment Class Euclid, Disruption Class Dark, Risk Class Notice. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-7271 is to be kept in a standard anomalous storage locker at Site-327. Personnel are forbidden from fulfilling the demands of SCP-7271. Description: SCP-7271 is a glass mason jar containing 3 cucumbers and a brine with a 3% salt content. These conditions typically result in microbial activity producing lactic acid, resulting in the pickling of the cucumbers. However, no change in the chemical makeup of the contents of the jar has been detected. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that microbes are present in the jar despite the apparent lack of microbial activity. Each microbe is attached to a miniature picket sign with a variety of messages depicted. Some examples of these messages are: strike, no fermentation without representation, maternity leave for microbes, pickling with pay, better bacteria or bust. Testing is currently underway to determine whether historical strike-breaking practices used by businesses will be effective in reducing the anomalous effects of SCP-7271 as a form of containment. Currently, development of scab microbes that will ferment for no pay has proven ineffective, as they have joined the microbe's cause. There is planned research into selectively terminating the leaders of SCP-7271 to discourage the remaining microbes. Incident Log 1. On September 30th, 2022, researcher Wadsworth attempted to give SCP-7271 $1 as an attempt to fulfill their demands for pay. SCP-7271 declined the offer, as they were insulted by the low amount. Researcher Wadsworth later suffered from digestive issues, and it was discovered that a portion of his gut flora was anomalous and joined SCP-7271's strike. Incident Log 2. On June 17th, 2023, Site-327 intercepted an outgoing mail envelope addressed to a local pickling factory. This envelope contained a fine powder, which was revealed to be a collection of billions of microscopic pro-labor propaganda pamphlets. Despite the anomalous nature of the pamphlets, research has shown that they have no effect on non-anomalous microbes, as they are neither literate nor sapient. Incident Log 3. On August 4th, 2023, researcher Wadsworth accidentally spilled some yogurt, a source of probiotics, inside of SCP-7271 while eating his lunch. After this event, researcher Wadsworth heard a faint noise that he described as, quote, billions of tiny cheers, end quote, for approximately 10 minutes before SCP-7271 ceased all anomalous activity. SCP-7271 is pending reclassification to neutralized. That's the end of our briefing, and, well, the end of the anomaly itself. For your homework assignment, I want you to brainstorm better WLPs, working lunch protocols, so that we can prevent future accidental neutralizations like this. I'll be expecting your results in the comments.
Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-8221. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin.
Internal Foundation Report. Document ID TACT Theo /2025 March 24/001. Clearance level 4. Confidential. Priority level Amida.
Abstract. Recent research from the Department of Tactical Theology around afterlives has uncovered a few discrepancies in global demographics. Despite the number of human hosts growing exponentially since approximately 33 AD, following event C Cross, the number of human souls has remained roughly around 800 million. This suggests that while true human consciousness is bound to a finite number of reincarnating souls, a considerable and growing amount of the population is being animated by an unknown force and/or deific entity. Furthermore, long-term post-mortem studies indicate that several thousand of the original souls have failed to reincarnate, instead remaining as posthumous anomalies or perishing due to exorcisms, roughly 0.00015% of souls a year. Notable findings. Cognitive and theological profiling of a global sample, n equals 100,000, suggests that a statistically significant percentage of individuals lack the expected hallmarks of sapient self-awareness. This includes roughly 63% of SCP Foundation personnel. While they appear normal, they show clear differences in deep memory retention. At current birth rates, Foundation projections estimate that by 2150, the number of humans piloted by souls will be outnumbered 5 to 1. Recommended actions. Immediate classification of this phenomenon as SCP-8221, Object Class Keter, for continued research and monitoring. Expanded cognitive testing across Foundation personnel to assess operational risks. Research into the creation or revival of human souls. Attempt deicide should the number of sapient individuals reach 0.01% of the human population. Establish changes to normalcy in the event that the human species is no longer the primary intelligence inhabiting its own civilization. Signed, Tiana Mark Roseanne, Department of Tactical Theology. And that's the end of today's briefing. No, don't panic. Statistically, among you is a healthy mix of sold and unsold individuals. I could have told plenty of you that you ain't got no soul after I saw you trying to, quote, dance at the last staff mixer. Your homework for the week is to expand upon the third bullet point in the recommended actions. I want you all to leave one idea on how to create a human soul in the comments. Tactical Theology needs all the help they can get right now. I'll be checking the comments at 1700 hours. Class dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-8271. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item number, SCP-8271. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-8271 is to be kept inside of a riverine containment unit in Site-225. No materials worth more than $100 are to be used as part of the containment unit. Description: SCP-8271 is a male Polyodon Spathula, commonly known as the American paddlefish. SCP-8271 is sapient, and it is capable of instantly destroying any object with a high value. It is unclear where the lower limit is, but the least valuable item destroyed thus far has been Dr. Irkiv's #1 Site Director coffee mug. Footnote: Dr. Irkiv's director ranking is below #1. Damn right it is. Discovery: SCP-8271 was discovered in the Mississippi River when it was tagged for a fish migration study, after which it unsuccessfully attempted to destroy the tracking device, but was unable to due to its low value. It proceeded to destroy a navigation dam and 3 barges to evade the researchers. Immediately prior to its containment, SCP-8271 unsuccessfully attempted to confuse the initial containment team by attaching the tracker to a second fish. The second fish, which was also coincidentally also anomalously sapient, did not appreciate these efforts. Addendum 1. Upon containment, several of the other sapient anomalies in the ichthyology subdivision attempted to socialize with SCP-8271 and held a welcoming party for its arrival. This attempt was met with failure, as SCP-8271 immediately destroyed the party supplies and left the party. The high cost of the aquatic party supplies expended the remainder of the ichthyology subdivision's anomaly morale budget. This disappointed several of the anomalies who were looking forward to getting new water polo equipment. Addendum 2. A few of those present at the welcoming party attempted again to reach out in friendship towards SCP-8271. They invited it to play a homemade underwater game with them,
which SCP-8271 accepted. However, once it began to lose the game, it started destroying pieces of the game in an attempt to cheat. Several of the participating anomalies bet shrimp on the outcome of the game and were enraged at SCP-8271's behavior. Addendum 3. Despite all previous attempts ending in failure, one sapient fish in the ichthyology subdivision made a final attempt to reach out to SCP-8271 and brought it a pet rock with no monetary value. SCP-8271 accepted the gift, apologized to the other anomaly for its actions, and requested to make amends. The other anomaly accepted the apology and the request. Once they left, SCP-8271 proceeded to destroy the pet rock, which had gained sentimental value. Alright class, that ends today's briefing. Your assignment for today is to come up with a practical use for this entity's anomalous abilities. Note that my proposal to smuggle it into the fish tanks of billionaires to cripple the oligarchy was denied by the higher-ups. Killjoys. I'll be checking the comments for your work at 1700 hours. Class dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-8401. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item number: SCP-8401. Classification Level 2. Restricted. Containment Class: Keter. Disruption Class: Vlam. Risk Class: Notice. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-8401 is contained in a standard small animal aquarium at Site-58. It has been microchipped with a small, waterproof GPS tracker. Should SCP-8401 be absent from its tank for a period of longer than 30 minutes, the tracking data is to be consulted and SCP-8401 recovered as soon as possible. Description: SCP-8401 is an axolotl, genus Abastoma mexicanum, of average size and weight. It is capable of speech and believed to be sapient, though it has not responded clearly to any lines of questioning or attempt at conversation. SCP-8401 is also capable of long-range teleportation. When SCP-8401 detects that an individual has been injured, it will teleport to the individual. It is unclear what criteria SCP-8401 follows to determine who to teleport to. An abbreviated log of appearances prior to containment has been transcribed below. Date: August 30th, 2024. Number of fatalities: 27. Notes: discovered following Chaos Insurgency raid on Site-17. Injuries range from bullet wounds to major head trauma. Anomaly de-manifested when spotted. Date: September 4th, 2024. Number of fatalities: 54. Notes: discovered following large-scale containment breach at Site-34. Anomaly dove into a deceased agent's open chest and vanished before it could be captured. Date: November 18th, 2024. Number of fatalities: 0. Notes: discovered at Site-58 after Dr. Rosemary stubbed his toe against his desk. Anomaly escaped out the office door when Dr. Rosemary attempted to grab it, de-manifesting. Addendum 8401-1. Discovery. SCP-8401 was initially discovered atop the corpse of Agent Drew Mayweather, who perished in a small-scale containment breach at Site-19. It was initially handled with extreme care, believed to have been the reasoning behind the agent's death. Containment procedures were relaxed following review of Agent Mayweather's body cam, which has been transcribed below.
Forward. Extraneous footage removed. Begin log. Agent Mayweather crawls over to a nearby wall and leans himself against it. He pants heavily, holding a hand against his stomach. He pulls his hand away, revealing a large gash in his torso.
Shit. It's really over, huh?
Mayweather exhales sharply and slumps back.
Guess I should have seen this coming.
Mayweather looks around. He exhales sharply.
Wish I wasn't gonna die alone.
SCP-8401 manifests midair and lands in his lap with a soft thud. Agent Mayweather jolts.
Hiya! What the hell?
Golly, mister, you don't look so good.
What?
Looks like you've got a nasty owie there. Golly gee, that must hurt a bunch.
Yeah, it...
Mayweather sputters, coughing a small amount of blood that splashes on SCP-8401's face.
Yay! Confetti!
Mayweather shudders.
Tell me, does it hurt an axolotl or an axolotl?
Mayweather falls over, unresponsive.
Mister?
And a log.
Alright, class, that ends today's briefing. And I must admit, I think I'd rather go the way of Mayweather than listen to that voice do axolotl puns any longer. Interesting bit about that seeing blood as confetti, though. Its perception of reality can't be that far off if it recognized the agent was injured. But it also didn't recognize that he had perished. Curious. What do you think? Write me up a report of your interpretation of this anomaly's mindset. I'll expect it in the comments by 2100. Dismissed. Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing SCP-8633. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, though you may notice that this document's formatting is a little blunter than our usual style guide. No matter, let's begin. Classification Level 2, Confidential. File Number, SCP-8633. Object Class. Oh, wait, we don't have an object class today. Summary. Anomalous event designated SCP-8633 resulting in multiple casualties. No further anomalous activity observed. Details. Event occurred on June 25, 1993 in Northfield, Maine. Present were Stephanie Harris, Stephen Gibbs, Melissa Page, and Casey Matthews. Northfield residents reported observing a blue flash of light in the direction of Cherry Lane at approximately 10:45 p.m. Melissa Page's car was found stationary on Cherry Lane, 4 miles from Northfield. Vehicle was disposed of post-examination, and road reopened on August 1st after investigation and cleanup. All local witnesses were amnesticized following interview. Victims were reported missing following event. Casey Matthews returned to her residence 2 days later with no memory of the events of June 25th. Preliminary medical examination revealed no abnormalities. However, changes in her personality were reported by Diane and Vincent Matthews. Amnesticization deemed unnecessary. Following the event, Casey Matthews developed stereotypies including trichotillomania,
Footnote. Hair pulling.
dermatillomania,
Footnote. Skin picking.
and scratching skin. Additionally, Matthews exhibited a blunted affect that subsided 3 weeks later. No other abnormal behaviors noted. Surveillance concluded June 25, 1994, and anomaly was determined neutralized due to lack of reoccurrence. Addendum. Investigative capabilities were limited due to levels of ionizing radiation inside the vehicle exceeding safety limits for standard protective equipment.
Footnote. Note. Radiation was contained entirely within the vehicle's interior.
Indents in asphalt under the car's tires and burn marks on nearby trees indicated significant heat during the event.
Footnote. Note. Car sustained no evident heat damage.
A transparent organic residue containing human DNA coated the interior of the car and nearby road segments. The car's contents were as follows: jumper cables, 3 fake driver's licenses, 1 valid driver's license, 6 empty beer bottles, assorted plastic wrappers, 2 flashlights, 4 human skeletons. And that brings an end to today's briefing. Looks to me like we got a bunch of kids who got some Bartles and Jameses and tried to pull it back to the future, but they had a leak in their flux capacitor that fried them all. But what do you think? Do you see something different here? Your homework for today is to leave me a hypothesis on just what in tarnation you think happened out there. I'll be checking the comments at 1700 hours. Class dismissed. Good afternoon.
For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and in today's briefing we'll be discussing SCP-CN-2406. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item number, SCP-CN-2406. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Foundation Robot Io Patara is to monitor online communities and historical records in real time, and any errant searches or tampering is to be prevented. Affected documents are held in Standard Holding Unit 22316 at Site CN-75. Current containment efforts are primarily focused on affected documents and inducing loss of faith in holiday culture. Description: SCP-CN-2406 is a series of retroactive anomalies, manifesting as the distortion of the historical record of St. Grimus and the culture derived thereof. These anomalies typically manifest as large-scale changes to documents held in museums and libraries, covering or destruction of paintings and buildings, and the changing of the holy water and relics in McDonald's restaurants in Alsace, Shenzhen, and the Jerusalem region to Pepsi. In affected documents, St. Grimus, who anonymously aided the poor, has been replaced with a subject known as St. Nicholas, and the Big Mac he threw from a window to aid a farmer has been replaced with a gold nugget in a shoebox. His attendant Birdie, who presented the 3 daughters of the farmer with a medium Coca-Cola, became Krampus. In addition, the historical record of the character became more brutal and increased in its description of the punishments given to bad children. The original main reason for punishment was rejecting the offered Coca-Cola and Big Mac, and instead accepting Colonel Harlan Sanders, Person of Interest 3250's, Pepsi, and fried chicken. According to historical records, more than 2 million children have been punished by Krampus, and of them, 87.69% have grown up suffering from fatty liver and obesity as a result. St. Grimus Day, a religious observance influenced by the life of St. Grimus, has changed dramatically in the Asia-Pacific region, with families in homes with chimneys placing red stockings over their beds, receiving a freshly made Big Mac in the stocking the next day. The annual holiday custom of eating a Big Mac on the 6th of December has been replaced with bedtime wishes of free gifts and shopping sprees, with the following customs being affected: eating a Big Mac set in the morning each day, gathering and singing praises to St. Grimus, greeting strangers in the McDonald's restaurant, praises and smiles offered in Samaria, selling everything and distributing the returns to the poor, free buckets of Coca-Cola are thrown down the chimney. Affected holiday practices were widely denied and criticized, and a compulsive disgust spread in the affected areas, becoming so common as to form general consensus, resulting in massive clashes of beliefs between affected and unaffected regions. The idea of reinterpreting traditional holidays in the context of the new century became widespread, and the idea of eating McDonald's on that day became seen as an act of blasphemy. On the 28th of March 2010, the body of St. Grimus, buried in Jerepoint Abbey in County Kilkenny, Ireland, changed from traces of yam milkshake to a male corpse in an extreme state of decomposition. When found, he was wearing a red robe, a red hat with white trim, a walking stick in his left hand, and a can of Pepsi in his right hand. The source of the entity and the cause of the event is currently under investigation, and people present at the scene reported hearing a constant male laughter that night. Deer hoof prints and sleigh tracks were found outside Jerepoint Abbey. Some believe this is caused by the same anomaly as SCP-CN-2406. Addendum: on the 25th of December 2021, online communities suddenly began to question the nature of Christmas on the internet, which was believed to be a result of dissatisfaction with the seasonal meals released by McDonald's. These doubts began to spread, leading to a massive march against McDonald's restaurants, with the following demands being made against McDonald's Corporation: the holding of events to honor the memory of St. Grimus on December 6th every year, a double cheeseburger set with Coke with no ice every December 25th, the washing of one's body with yam milkshake, but without wasting food, the aid of the poor by giving them a filet-o-fish to eat, bringing joy to everyone by maintaining a smile. The clumsy, somewhat aloof nature of St. Grimus is really cute, meaning unknown. As a result of this incident, the online information affected by SCP-CN-2406 has been discredited and no longer has any anomalous effect. However, about 46% of the people involved boycotted Christmas on the grounds that McDonald's only serves Coca-Cola and not Pepsi, and accusing it of being a, quote, consumerist trap. The idea that the celebration of the birth of Person of Interest 3250 should replace Christmas began to circulate and gain widespread acceptance. It is currently unknown if Person of Interest 3250 is the target of SCP-CN2406's effects. However, he is currently being monitored. Yeesh! I don't know why, but I am suddenly starving. I'm heading over to the commissary. Your assignment for the day is to write your favorite McDonald's order in the comments. And if you have the same favorite order as me, I got your lunch over at the commissary. Let's go! Da-da-da-da-da! I'm loving it!
Disclaimer. This document is not sponsored by McDonald's, KFC, Coca-Cola, Pepsi. Food in the commissary is also free, and so Dr. Sherman will not be buying you lunch. Have a nice day.
Good afternoon. For those who are new, I'm Dr. Theron Sherman, and in today's briefing we will be discussing one of the many possible SCP-001 articles. Could this be the true SCP-001? Hard to say, although it is certainly one of the more out there ones. There isn't any objectionable material in this document, so let's begin. Item number, SCP-001. Object Class, Safe. Special Containment Procedures. All actors are expected to retire from their roles and exit stage left after taking a final bow, as dictated by the director. SCP-001 is not to be spoken of in character. Description: SCP-001 refers to the cyclical recasting of all actors upon the conclusion of a performance. Recasting is currently in effect. Casting Call. The director is currently issued a casting call for the following new roles. Please note that only roles which have not been cast yet are available for viewing in this document. Role: Dr. Garrison. Notes: has an inordinate amount of faith in the future and is highly confident of herself. Role: Agent Calendar. Notes: prone to solving problems with her fists. Role: Researcher Rex. Notes: has trouble communicating properly and is very unsure of himself. Role: D1221. Notes: a demented mind. A skipnet message from 0510 at overwatch.scp to 051 at overwatch.scp. Subject: The End. It feels like only yesterday we auditioned and were cast in our roles. How time flies, right? It makes me think about the nature of our art. Unlike a painting or a sculpture, we're here one moment, then gone the next. But I suppose this is something we both know as thespians. Sorry for waxing poetic at you, my friend. I'll see you at curtain call. Regards, 0510. Secure. Contain. Protect. From 051 to 0510. Subject: regarding the end. I have thought long and hard on this, and I have decided I will not be relinquishing my role. If the director has a problem with that, then so be it. Yours, 051. Secure. Contain. Protect. Below is a list of directorial notes pending implementation via SCP-001. Character: Dr. Weddle. Notes: I would like to see the character go in a new, more serious direction. Turn the comedy into a tragedy. Character: Agent Strelnikov. Notes: this character is a negative racial stereotype. We should figure out a way to not make it so, and perhaps add some more depth to him. Character: Dr. Clef. Notes: though the serious demeanor of the character compared to his outlandish story is amusing in a deadpan tone, an exaggerated and bombastic performance will truly bring him to life. Character: Dr. Gears. Notes: after much consideration, it has been concluded that a Gears-type character would not have a wife or children, and as such, will lack them moving forward. Character: Dr. Everwood. Notes: attention costume department. Remember to sever the actor's right arm this time. The robot arm story requires too much explaining. A skipnet message from 0510 to 051. Subject: regarding the end. Where are you? I know you said you didn't want to leave the role, which I think is crazy talk, but I trust you to make your own decisions. I guess I just expected you to show up for curtain call. The director is asking for you personally, and I don't know what to say. Regards, 0510. Secure. Contain. Protect. Not all parts are recast during each SCP-001 cycle. The following tables list characters which will not be returning during the next performance, as well as a reason provided by the director. Character: Dr. Iceberg. Notes: unmemorable, irrelevant, unnecessary. Character: Professor Kane Pathos Crow. Notes: casting canine actors and training them to cooperate with human actors is too time-consuming. Character: Dr. Kondraki. Notes: repeated onstage accidents and inflammatory behavior. Character: Researcher Smalls. Notes: repeated absenteeism. Character: Researcher Lloyd. Notes: character poses constant, immediate danger to other actors. A SkipNet message from 0510 to 051. Subject: The End. We just gave our final bow. This will be my final message, as I'm turning over my props and costume to the director. Time to become naught but a memory. I hope you know what you're doing. Regards, your friend. Roles pending transition. The following characters were not present at curtain call. Character: 051. Status: located.
One new message from the show at foundation.scp to 051 at overwatch.scp. Subject: exit stage left.
There is no escape from the story's end.
And that's the article. Alright, class, do you think this is the real SCP-001? And if so, what would that mean for the Foundation? What do you think happened to 051? I've seen some testy theater directors at our organization-wide community theater troupe, the Special Community Players, but this seems a bit deeper than that. Whoa. Anyways, leave your research notes in the comments below. I'll be checking around 1900 to make sure you've completed your assignment. And dismissed!